One of the biggest challenges facing us as traders is identifying the current market condition before it's too late. After all, if we knew that a market was getting ready to trend or becoming choppier, we would have a better idea of how we wanted to enter a trade and how we might want to manage it. But if you're like most traders, you just end up using the same strategy for every trade. Sometimes everything comes into sync and the trade works out well, but the rest of the time you find you're either chasing the market, getting out too early, or in too late, the end result being lackluster profits or even worse, a loss. We all want to catch a big trending market, but most of the time the trend is already well on its way or maybe even nearing its end before we even recognize it as a trend, and by then it's too late. We know that markets trend only about 30% of the time, and the rest of the time they're range bound, making small to mid-sized moves. But wouldn't it be nice if there was a way to know that the market condition is or what it might become? What if you had a hint that the current market conditions were ripe for a trending market? If you knew that, you could anticipate a new trend as it's developing, allowing you to enter at the beginning of the trend instead of the end, and maybe even trail a stop to maximize your profits. Or what if you had an indication that the market was going to get choppy soon? If you saw that coming, you could take quick profits and manage your trade more aggressively to protect your capital. Well now, thanks to Trade Forecaster from IndicatorWarehouse.com, you can do exactly that. Trade Forecaster is a tool that was developed to analyze current market conditions and forecast what they might become. How does it do that? Well, Trade Forecaster works on the same principles as those used by meteorologists to predict the weather. A meteorologist looks at temperature, wind speed, barometric pressure, humidity, cloud formations, and a whole host of other variables, and then compares the current environment to similar environments from the past to make a weather prediction based on what has happened before. Trade Forecaster does a similar thing. Trade Forecaster looks at a whole host of trading variables to forecast what the next market condition might be based on what has happened in the past. And since human nature doesn't change, the environmental conditions which caused a market to trend or become choppy in the past are likely to be the same ones that will cause a market to trend or become choppy again in the future. And these environmental conditions repeat themselves over and over again. Trade Forecaster identifies three market conditions: scalp, swing, and trend, and will show you which one is dominant, which one is gaining strength, and which one is losing strength. And the best part is that Trade Forecaster will work with any trading system or NinjaTrader chart. Let's take a look at how the Trade Forecaster works. Okay, so I've got Trade Forecaster loaded here on my DTS charts. For those of you unfamiliar with DTS, DTS stands for Diversified Trading Systems. And what DTS does is it identifies, it has a tool for scalp trading, a tool for swing trading, and another tool for trend trading. So it actually focuses on three different market conditions. Here at the top I have the scalper, in the middle I have my swing trader, and on the bottom I have my trend trader. I'm just going to demonstrate it first on the diversified trading systems, and then I'll show you what it will look like with another system. When you first load the Trade Forecaster, it will have a tendency to want to place itself on a separate panel. So if we put Trade Forecaster on a new panel, it's going to end up looking like this. So it has its own panel at the bottom, and the blue dots identify the strength of the trend, and you can see the trend is building here and then it's declining here. The red dots would identify swing trades, and the orange dots would identify scalping trades. So you do have the option of putting Trade Forecaster on its own independent panel, but most of us are only interested in the histogram here. identifying which market condition is the dominant and which one is building. In which case, what you'll want to do is you'll want to place Trade Forecaster on the same panel as your pricing. So you change that to input series, apply, and now Trade Forecaster will display in the upper left-hand corner. It isn't necessary to put Trade Forecaster on each and every chart that you're trading. As I mentioned here with DTS, I have scalping charts, swing trading charts, and trend trading charts. If I put Trade Forecaster on each of these, this would just be redundant. So I only put it on one. It gives me a bird's eye view, if you will, of the entire market. So you can see right now, Trade Forecaster is saying the dominant market condition is scalping. Swing trading we'll probably have a swing trading environment developing in just about a minute's time. And as far as trend trading goes, it doesn't look like a very good opportunity for a trend at this time of the day. So how do you actually implement this? Well, knowing this, that I'm best suited for a scalping or perhaps a swing trading environment, I'll want to pay more attention to scalping signals or swing signals. I'll be a little bit more aggressive on my profit targets. I'll probably be a little bit more aggressive on my stops, and I'll be able to hopefully realize a little bit more profit. And likewise, if I develop a trending signal here on my trend tool, maybe I'll be a little bit more suspicious of it, knowing that this is not really the best environment for a trending market. So that was crude oil down there. Let's take a look here at the YM, the mini Dow, and you can see that here right now the scalping environment very, very dominant, swing trading kind of weak, and it's telling me that a trend is actually building. In fact, it's saying we may have a trending environment in approximately 25 minutes, and that would make sense because that's going to coincide more or less with the Asian market open, at which time we may actually see a trend developing. So I'll keep an eye on this. If in the next half an hour or so I get a trending signal that I like on my trend tool, well then I can be a little bit more aggressive with that. Also, the nice thing about the Trade Forecaster is because it forecasts a time when the next market condition is going to become dominant, I know that for the next 25 minutes, it's very likely that we're going to encounter a lot of scalping trades. There's going to be a lot of choppiness going on, a lot of short-term moves for approximately the next 25 minutes to half an hour. After that, we can probably anticipate the market to smooth out a little bit as the trending environment looks like it's going to become the most dominant. Of course, if we have a strong trending environment, well then we know that we can scalp and swing trade pretty much at will. So this little tool here kind of gives you the heads up as to what your best trade feature will be. And right now, it looks like we are better off concentrating on our scalp trades than anything else. Let's take a look at how Trade Forecaster works, say on a moving average crossover system. Okay, here we have Trade Forecaster just on a regular 15-minute chart. This is crude oil, and I've got a couple of moving average lines on here. I just wanted you to see that you can use Trade Forecaster with any charting style. It doesn't have to be DTS. It can be any trade system that you are trading. You will be able to benefit from what Trade Forecaster is telling you about the current market conditions. So this is just a regular 15-minute time chart, and you can see that right now it is saying that the dominant condition is swing trading, although scalp trading is not too far off, suggesting a scalp trade in approximately 7 minutes time. Now, when I'm doing this recording, it's actually the after hours session, so that's not to be a real big surprise that the volume is a little bit light It will pick up through the course of the evening, and of course, as London opens, it will get a little stronger as well. But if I were to, say, look at a short-term swing or scalping trade, I might throw a trend line on here and down here and look perhaps at buying a break above here, or perhaps taking a bounce off of the trend line down here, and knowing that it's best suited for a swing or scalping environment, I'll be quick to take my profit and I won't be trailing my stop loss too far away either. Likewise, if I get, say, a moving average crossover to the downside here as this market develops over the next few hours and a trend signal develops, well, then that may actually identify a good trend signal, something that I may want to take advantage of for a longer term move. So just a real quick overview, Trade Forecaster, very helpful tool. If you're struggling with knowing what the market condition is, how to best handle the market, what is coming or likely coming down the road, then Trade Forecaster is the tool for you. Check it out. I know you're going to like it.